What's slicing, everybody? Chris back with CAC Knives with a hopefully it's not going to be too long of a video discussing how you can clean and maintain your knives. And I'm going to try to go in some kind of an order to what you should have or should do the most, and what isn't as needed but is more of a make it look and function better kind of deal. The first thing that actually comes with a lot of knives is microfiber cloths. These things can be used to really just do a quick wipe of a knife, and especially if you've gotten your knife wet that day or something, you really want to, you don't want your knives to be exposed to moisture for any longer than they have to be. I even recommend, if you get your knife wet, you try and dry it off with something on the spot. But these are really soft. They won't scratch your knives up in any way, shape, or form. If you just have kind of like normal cloths around the house, that's fine. But I think microfiber cloths work the best. The next thing that I would recommend is some kind of lubricant to protect your knife blades. The more carbon-based your knife is, generally the easier and quicker it will rust. If a knife has finishes on it, such as my Demko here, its likelihood of rusting is very slim to none. As long as the finish is always on there, I should never have to worry about that. However, knives that do not have things like that on them, such as my Penguin here, you really want to, every once in a while, you just I go through my knives and put some of that lubricant on them every so often. If I got a knife wet, I will make sure to put that lubricant on it that week. And wet does not just mean water. That means if you sweat in your pants and your sweat got on your knife, I would make sure to give it a nice little clean at some point that week. Recommended that day, but you can't always do it the day of. The next thing that I would recommend is KPL, or you can use whatever kind of lubricant you want. This is mostly for the pivots. A lot of knives with bearings don't need it near as much because they're already smooth on their own, but sometimes even they need it. Just like any other moving part on a car. A lot of people spray WD-40 to get their brakes to stop squeaking. Kind of think of that as this, not only to help them function a little better, but because moving parts, metal moving parts specifically, just need a little lube every once in a while. So I recommend KPL. Everything else is kind of going to be just dependent on what kind of knife that you have. For titanium, such as on this Lander here, Windex, perfect titanium shiner. I know that sounds funny, but I'll even show it here. Let's see if it shines up anymore. I keep my knives pretty maintained, but I guarantee this will insta shine this knife. Just because, oh yeah, look how shinier it already is. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can see where the Windex got on, how much shinier it is compared to where the Windex did not get on the handle. It's crazy, right? How much difference that makes. But I wanted to make sure I at least got the planets so I could show you how much of a difference that makes. So yeah, for knives that have titanium, even just my pocket clips, like for my Civivi clip and stuff like that. My Civivi pocket clips that you see I put on various knives on my channel. Windex will shine all of those up for you. For knives with nickel or brass or any kind of bolsters like that, you can get certain polishes, and sometimes you can even get like toothpaste. I don't fully recommend toothpaste. I would recommend getting an actual polish that's made for whatever you're trying to polish up. I don't worry about that too much with my traditionals, because I kind of like the natural patina. The copper did not look like this when it first came, but it's patinaed over time, and it's gave it kind of a unique working finish, and I like that. Not to mention that working finish really goes with this knife because of the black washed blade here. And same with nickel. I don't really get these knives out too often, so they're pretty shiny. But a good polish will make them even shinier. As far as these handles go, there's not too much you can do. Just wipe them off, keep them clean. Speaking of which, if the inside of your knife is what's dirty, I would first spray it with some of that like electronic air sprayer stuff that you can get at the store. They're found everywhere. I would spray it with that, then maybe take a Q-tip and get a Q-tip down in there and get some of the debris. That should do the trick. If you got something really stuffed in there, I would get a toothpick. Just be careful with certain materials and certain knives that you're using. You don't want to, it's not going to damage the metal, but not all knives are made out of metal. So and then it kind of comes down to what material the knife is made out of, as we talked about with nickel and brass, or should I say what kind of knife it is, because OTF knives, every so often, especially if it's not functioning how it should, you need to take the knife apart and just clean all of the inside out, and then lube them back up. When taking knives apart, in the knife community, generally 99% of knives are going to consist of T6 or T8s. It's pretty rare that you get anything outside of those two sizes. Of course, this is a full kit, but you're going to need T6 and T8 to disassemble, like I said, 99% of your knives. That's just the standard sizes in a lot of the knife world. I mean, after doing it for so long, I can usually even tell. The OTF ones might actually be T10s, which would be the next common size, because they're pretty large. But you can clearly see there on the Penguin, those are T6s. And then with cases with knives like this that have things going on under a layer, if that layer is some kind of acrylic or plastic, which in this case I think it's just clear plastic. I mean, a lot of places say that toothpaste can help clear scratches off of plastic. I didn't have any luck. I used to have a Spyderco Raphael Noble until it started scratching up on the plastic. This knife, it probably has those same kind of things going on with it, but you can't tell because the background is black mostly. But on the Raphael Noble, where it was kind of more of a bronzish color, you could see those scratches, and I absolutely hate it. I love the knife when I got it. It looks so cool, and I don't even know how it got scratched. It's just plastic. I have no idea how it got scratched because I store them in a Pelican case, and that I can't remember what company it is that makes the foam cutouts perfectly for knives, but I have one of those Pelican cases directly from their site, and that's what it's stored in. So I don't know how it got scratched up, but it did. But I mean, live and let learn. That's a knife that I didn't want to have because of all them scratches. So, and I've never got a Rapier Noble kind of knife because of that anymore. There is other kinds of knives out there. There are carbon fiber based knives, which I have not reviewed this knife on the channel yet, eventually, but with carbon fiber based knives, they are kind of hard to clean. You can kind of give them a good wipe, but these knives, at least the handles, I just recommend you try to keep the handles clean, because especially with things like fat carbon, little tiny pieces of the fibers can kind of come up, and if you try to clean it with a rag or something, you're gonna feel it. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to show this on camera. Can you see some tiny pieces of the fiber kind of sticking out on the fat carbon? That basically just means they're gonna be very difficult to clean, and it's gonna be hard. A lot of your fabric's gonna want to get caught and stick to them. When storing your knives, humidity is a big problem. I highly recommend you keep them in some kind of closed case if you can, that doesn't have access to the air except the air that's inside the case with the knives themselves, in which case you get some silica pouches or things of that nature to help get rid of that moisture. And that's what I do, and it's worked out pretty well. My knives don't rust, they stay in pretty good shape. I do all of this. I do one thorough deep clean of all my knives. I would say at least twice a year. I give them all a really good clean. I don't really disassemble them, just because with disassembling you run the risk, in my experience anyways, of sometimes not being able to get that action just like it was. Sometimes you can make the action better. Just depends on the knife. But in my experience, it's not worth the risk. You can get the action better just by messing with the pivot a little bit, or KPLing the washers or the bearings a little bit, and that'll do the trick. But yeah, guys, if you have any more questions or any more tips and tricks on how to clean, store, and maintain your knives, let me know down in the comments. I love hearing new ways to clean or maintain my knives. And if there's better ways than what I showed here, I would love to know personally. But these are ways that I have learned either from other people or learned by experience to maintain, not just knives, but just a lot of metal things in general. But that'll be it for today's video, guys. If you really like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing. We're almost to 220. At 500, I will do the first channel giveaway. So I love that the channel is slowly growing. I hope it continues to grow. And I still got a lot of cool knives in my collection to show off. And I'm getting at least one new knife every month to show off on the channel. So yeah, that's it for today, and I will see you guys in the next video.